Three, two, one. Welcome to the Zac and Joe Show podcast. Massive week of rugby league last week. Obviously, there's no NRL. It's been suspended. Really devastated. But Zac is finally here with us. First ever podcast. Welcome, Zac.
G'day. I'm Zac. I'm a Raiders fan. I'm pretty upset about the coronavirus having a good season and got cancelled. What do you reckon, Joe, with Bunnies losing and all?
Well, it's a massive downhill for rugby league. Like, obviously, we've seen AFL being suspending their season much earlier. And NBA and NFL obviously did it a lot earlier. But rugby, like, full credit to Todd Greenberg and everyone else at the NRL for trying to push it on with the game. Obviously, round 2 got played without a crowd, but they just couldn't continue. So it's going to be massive downhill for everyone. Clubs obviously losing a lot of money for not playing. But New Zealand Warriors, let's talk about them.
That's one thing they do need to think about before you talk about New Zealanders, about clubs like financial positioning, like Manly and stuff, with their lower, income. Like, they'll have less money in the bank than a team that's well funded, like Brisbane.
Yeah, 100% agree. Well, let's quickly talk about the Warriors. Like, full credit to New Zealand. Obviously leaving their families for that whole round of NRL to leave New Zealand to be based in Australia. Like, obviously playing Canberra, didn't obviously get the win, but we saw at the start of the game, Canberra came together with New Zealand to say their thank you. But what are your thoughts for New Zealand?
Well, I think it was actually really good of them to do, like, stay up here, because it's very easy to go back to your families and kind of ruin it for everyone else. But they did a very good job by staying out, I reckon. It'll be a really hard thing, like, leaving your family behind to play a game of football for a whole week, and then obviously they're here for a week, and now NRL's cancelled for the whole year. It's not.
Yeah, they've suspended the season, so we don't know how long that's going to be for.
Yeah, indefinitely. So it could be till May, or it could be till, like, September. We don't know.
Yeah, we don't know. It might be short time, might be long term, but who knows? Let's just hope it's short term. That way we can watch the footy again. But the NRL players, some of them come out to bring light to the whole thing. Some of them came out to make TikToks about it. Alex Johnson recently did one with him dropping the TV remote and having all these magical moments with the football. It's just so messed up, but it's so funny. And Nick Kotrick obviously was the first one to do it with him in his grand final gear in the shower crying. But it's such a bad time for the game. We've never experienced something like this ever in rugby league.
No, it's going to hit a lot of clubs pretty hard. Like Manly, I reckon maybe West Tigers, because they're not as well funded as other teams like Melbourne and maybe Canberra, because they're like one-team towns and they're bringing quite a bit of money through their pokies and stuff. But Manly's, I think, they're very, very low on money. I'm not sure what they're on exactly, but it's pretty low.
Yeah, they're one of the lowest clubs in the competition at the moment. But what I've read, like, at the start of the year, the highest club was actually the Raiders. They had crap ton in their bank, as well as the Brisbane Broncos had a crap ton, so they re-signed a lot of players. But let's just go straight to the results. Obviously, my highlight of the round was I didn't like it too much because my beloved Rabbitohs lost it, but my moment of the whole round was the Broncos Souths game. It was just a brilliant game because Tony Staggs obviously scoring his hat trick. But we didn't see it. It was meant. Yeah, he's one of his tries. He dropped the ball over the line, but they didn't pick up on it. I'm surprised Adam Reynolds didn't captain.
I don't think. Yeah, they can't really blame the referees now with the captain's challenge in the game, because I guess if the other team didn't spot it, then neither did the referee. So it's fair, I think, and it's unlucky for Rabbitohs, but it happens.
Yeah, but Tony Staggs obviously was like one of the brilliant players, but I've got to say, Darius Boyd, in my opinion, he was like brilliant at his centre role.
He handled James Roberts very well.
He handled Jimmy really well. He slides right into that centre position perfectly. That's the first time I've seen Dubs in a like good form since obviously last year he wasn't actually at his best. Like they tried to do what they did with Darren Lockyer, move him from fullback into the halves, but obviously it wasn't a success until Brodie Croft came along. Brodie Croft, though, his captaincy with Brisbane is brilliant. What do you think of the signing from Brodie Croft?
Oh, Brodie Croft, Brisbane needed someone, I think, going to the Storm and bring out someone who's gone through the Storm system under Bellamy, and then they've got a very good feeder system over there, so he'll come over. He'll be pretty good, I reckon. What's his injury like, actually? I haven't heard much about that. How long's he out for?
So obviously some of us might have seen Brodie Croft went off the field with a shoulder injury, but they said he's up to 3 to 4 weeks on the sidelines.
I'll look now.
Which is horrible.
AC joint. I think he did an AC joint, yeah.
Yeah, so the first game on Thursday was the Doggies and the Cowboys. Cowboys taking it out 24 points to 16. In my opinion, the Doggies, I don't know what's going on with their defence at the moment. Obviously, we saw last week with Parramatta, they came awfully close, but their defence is just shocking. But the Cowboys last week, obviously losing to Brisbane, but when they played against the Bulldogs, something just like switched, and Valentine Holmes was actually like on his point again. What was your intake of the game?
I thought the Doggies just got nothing in attack, man. Like, the only time they look like scoring would be off like an intercept or like a long field try or like off a kick. They don't look like they're going to really put much shape together and run like a good block play or something and get over the line that way. So their attack looks pretty average. But yeah, the Cowboys clicked with during quarter. And Holmes, I thought they looked pretty good.
Yeah, but with the Bulldogs, ever since that scandal came out, I thought they were going to be brilliant this year. Obviously, last year, seeing them have that massive winning run right at the end of the season, and then now since that scandal came round, losing one of their best wingers, they've just shattered to pieces.
Yeah, it was disappointing with that scandal, but yeah, I thought they would have had a stronger year this year after the way they ended last year, but I guess losing Harry Wiranara, who I thought was probably one of their best players last year, and Jay Knockenberg was a pretty handy up-and-comer. I think that was a pretty loss at the start of the season, yeah.
So, brilliant game that was from the Cowboys. But we move on to Friday doubleheader. The Dragons and the Panthers. Panthers just sneaking away 32 points to 28.
Panthers, I thought, disappointing, to be honest. Like, they kind of, what was it, like 18-0 or 12-0 or something?
Yeah, at half time.
Yeah, I think it was 18-0 like 20 minutes into the game. They had a drinks break and they just fell asleep and let the Dragons back into the game. And Dragons came awfully close to winning, to be honest. I thought it was a pretty disappointing game for both teams. Yeah, I don't know. They're pretty poor defense.
Dragons shouldn't have came that close the way the Panthers was playing at the start. Like, for them to come that close and awfully came very close, like one try down to nearly win the game for them. Panthers were, I don't know what they've done. They're like, oh yeah, at halftime, we've won this game, we've got it in the bag. Stuff like that. They need to play the whole 80 minutes and actually concentrate and not let teams like that come that close to them when they have that massive, like, easy win at during the game.
Yeah, was there any injuries in that game? I don't think there was there?
No, there was no injuries in that game. Coruscant, the Panthers' new hooker, brilliant game last week for his first game, and he played sensationally well this game. For the Dragons, Ben Hunt, he was brilliant, but in my opinion, Isaac Luke, he's not up to his performance yet. What do you think of Luke?
Yeah, I don't know. I think he might be a bit past his heyday, but I don't know. Like, he's still a solid hooker, but once they get McInnes back, they'll be a much stronger side, I think. Yeah. I think Nathan Cleary looks very good this year. He looks fit. He's big. Looks like he's put a few kilos. I think he put something like 6 kilos on the off season or something. Like, he looks a lot stronger. He he dominated. He dominated. What's his name? Corey Norman in the
Yeah,
halves.
he handled him really well. Nathan Cleary.
Yeah.
But the second game, Brisbane versus Souths, Brisbane taking that away 22 points to 18. Brisbane, they're looking so strong this year. Obviously, they had a massive win against the Cowboys, and then this win against Souths. Like, Brisbane are just looking powerful. Payne Haas and David Fafita. There's just no words for them.
I thought Tom Flegler, Haas was very good. Fafita was good, but I thought Thomas Flegler was probably the pick out of the forwards. His footwork at the line was very good, and I think he made a lot of tackle busts, made a lot of meters, and he played pretty big minutes as well. So I thought it was a very good effort from him and Patrick Carrigan actually as well.
Yeah, and the main talking point with everyone, do you think, like Wayne Bennett's been talking about it, he wants to move Latrell from fullback back to the centre role. Do you think Latrell should keep his spot at fullback and he's just warming up to it, or do you think he should just throw him back into the centres where he belongs?
Well, I don't know, I don't know. I think they want him to play at fullback, really. Ideally, I think the Rabbitohs, it's the best fit for them. Latrell playing at fullback, but
yeah.
I don't think he's performed very well. Yeah, I think it's just lack of fitness and maybe a bit of just off season, maybe not used to it. So I think he's a very good player. So just give him a bit of time in that position, and I reckon he'll come better. Just get a bit of match fitness.
Because he said most of his time at the Roosters that when he first started, he was a fullback. Like, he played at fullback there, and then they just threw him into the centres, and he's never played that position. And then next minute, he's playing Origin at centre, and then he's playing for Kangaroos at centre. And, he just was rocking that centre position, and I was just so surprised when South said, right, you're playing fullback for us after all that time.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I think he's a good player, so I think just give him, or just needs a bit of time to play some footy. The more minutes you give him on the field as a fullback, the better he'll be there. So I think just keep him there.
Right, so Saturday we had a triple header.
Warriors first up.
The Warriors played against the Raiders at GI Stadium Seabus Super Stadium, in Canberra, in Gold Coast. Raiders second it out 20 points to 6. Your beloved Raiders. Brilliant game from them all. Jack White in sensational form at the moment. What's your take of the game?
I thought Raiders, they were under a bit of pressure early. They were very disappointing in the first half. I thought they dropped a bit of ball, but they came away with the 2 points at the end of the day, which is all that matters, I guess. But I think what's his name? George Williams, the signing, was a very good signing. He looked really strong in defence. I think.
The Warriors, obviously, it would have been very hard for them to try and concentrate after leaving their home in New Zealand for the NRL. But the way New Zealand were playing, they weren't up to their scratch, and their halves aren't performing very well. Cody Nikorima, he's been shifted to the bench during that. I don't think Nikorima should be on the bench. I think he should be an 80-minute half after signing him from Brisbane. So what the Warriors are doing, I don't know what Stephen Kearney's doing with the New Zealand Warriors, but he really needs to show a lot of aggression with his forwards and stuff, because they weren't running as hard as what a forward should be doing.
No, they were disappointing. I think probably a hard game. I think they should have came out with a bit more intent after the week they had. I thought they would have came out and really tried to, prove a point through the Raiders pack, and they were good for opening maybe 15 minutes, but they kind of fell away and they didn't really look real dangerous in attack. The only try they scored was off a penalty try from Cody Nikorima, who I also agree should be starting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, second game on the Saturday was the Roosters and Manly. Manly taking that out 9 points to 8. I don't know what's going on with the Premiers, the Roosters. Obviously losing to the Panthers, and now Manly taking it out over the Roosters. I don't know what's happening with them. Maybe because they've lost a quality centre of theirs and losing Cooper Cronk in the halves and replacing him with a really young kid, Kyle Flanagan. So they don't have that leadership and that knowledge to guide that team around like Cooper did.
I
when he
think
was
he'll
at the
come.
Roosters.
I thought he'll come for the Roosters. They've got a good enough team, really. Like, you look at their spine, they've still got a very good spine, very strong spine. They got
Yeah.
Tedesco, Jake Friend, Luke Keary, and Flanagan. I think he's a very good player. He just needs to get his hands on the ball a bit more often, because I think he needs to look to run a bit more often, because he didn't really look really threatening in attack. But I thought the main talking point was probably Tom Trbojevic. I don't know if you watched that game, but his defence is outstanding. He saved 2 tries, where the one where he knocked the ball out of Luke Keary's arms, and he put a very good tackle on one of the Morris boys.
Yeah, and obviously, like you were saying, they have that really good spine. Like, obviously, Tedesco, they have Tupou, they have Manu still in that squad. And, like, to replace, like, a future immortal of the game in the halves with a young kid, Kyle Flanagan, they'll just have to get used to what his game structure's like and need to work with Jake Friend a lot more. So it's only round 2, and they wouldn't be used to having someone like him really young and stuff playing in the top quality side with everyone else. So all the Roosters need to do is just perform better with, and what the Roosters need to do is have Jake Friend and Kyle Flanagan working on some sets together. That way they can create some brilliance like what Friend and Cooper did last year.
Yeah, well, I think that they would have won the game if Luke Keary didn't drop the ball over the line. So I just thought they might have got a bit unlucky. I don't think it's alarm bells. So for the Roosters fans, I think it's just wait. You just need to wait, give them a bit of time. They'll come good. They got a good enough team they'll be finishing in the top 4 again this year, I believe.
Yeah, like looking at the stats, for the past 3 years, Roosters lost their first game and still made it to the finals. Obviously, 2018-19, they lost their first game in round 1, and they came out to win the comp. So after they lost their first game, I was like, oh, well, these stats probably will prove that Roosters might get a three-peat. And then when they lost again, I was really concerned about what they're doing. But like you said, they just need to give it a bit of time.
Yeah, exactly. I think they got a good enough team. Yeah.
All right, so the third game, Saturday.
Storm,
The biggest rivals of the rivals, Cronulla and Melbourne. Melbourne taking it out 12 points to 10. I'm going to say Cameron Smith, he's 82 and he's still performing brilliant.
Yeah, I think Cameron Smith's good, but I thought Melbourne were this is probably the worst I've seen Melbourne play for quite a while, but they got the 2 points, and early in the year, that's all that matters. I think the Sharks put up a pretty good fight. Melbourne, they dropped a bit too much ball. I think they would have been very disappointed with that. Craig Bellamy looked filthy. I thought some of the Melbourne forwards were quite good, though, but I also thought some of the Sharks forwards were good. So I thought it was actually a pretty good game, pretty good grind. But in the end, Melbourne just came away with the 2 points, as they very often do.
Yeah, Tui Kamikamica, in my opinion, he was brilliant. The way he ran that ball through that line, obviously scoring a try in the last 10 minutes of the game. He was brilliant, Tui Kamikamica. In my opinion, he was the man of the match. I can't actually remember who got the man of the match, but he was just sensational. The way he handled the ball control, the way he ran that ball up on the line, it was just brilliant performance by Tui Kamikamica. And Sean Johnson performed really, really well. But obviously Melbourne just held him out too strong for Cronulla.
Yeah.
But it was a brilliant game.
Yeah, I thought as well. Yeah, Storm, they always find a way to win. So I think early in the year, that's all that matters, to be honest. Just coming away with the 2 competition points.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, Sunday
Knights.
we see a double header.
Knights
Tigers first, the Knights at Leichhardt Oval. Knights taking it out 42 points to 24. And I've got to say, my highlight wasn't actually the game. My highlight was these fans that have construction going on at their house, and they climbed to the top of it and they could see the game. That was my highlight. It was brilliant.
I agree. I thought the Tigers were I thought the Tigers had quite a good shot of being able to win and go for 2 from 2, to be honest. But the Knights got away from in the last 20 minutes, I think. So I thought the Tigers had a real good shot of winning, but they just missed it. I thought Joey Leilua had a pretty disappointing game, to be honest.
Yeah.
Dropped a lot of ball, missed a few tackles.
His brother scored a try in the 59th minute. But what the Tigers need to work on is more attack, and Benji needs to get involved with the ball a lot more. Because I barely saw him with the ball in the first half and most of the second half as well. Like, he barely did anything. So Benji just needs to work on like having a lot more ball and stuff like that. Obviously, Kalen Ponga, he I don't know what he's been doing pre-season, but he's just come out brilliant. Kalen Ponga, obviously scoring a try.
Him and Pierce have been looking very good. They're looking. Yeah, I thought I don't think the Knights were. I don't think either side was brilliant, to be honest. I think the Knights got over in the end by quite a good margin, so they'll be quite happy with that. But I don't think either team was overly convincing and at their best. But once again, early in the year, coming away with the 2 points, all that matters.
Well, that's the second time 2 from 2 from the Knights that have proved a flogging. Like last on round 1, they beat the Warriors 20 points to none, and then now they come out and beat the Tigers 42 points to 24. Like, they're just on fire at the moment, and the combination with Pierce and Ponga, the way Ponga and Pierce like communicate from there, like when they go from the hooker position to Pierce to Ponga, it just shuts the oppositions down. Like, they just perform brilliantly when they have that combination together.
Yeah, well, second game, the Eels and the Titans, I thought not really much worth talking about, to be honest. The first half was pretty even game, to be honest. It was 12-6 at half time, and in the second half the Eels just came out and blitzed them. I don't know I think they really need Reid Marnie to get fit by the time the NRL's back on, though, because they're going to miss him a lot if he is injured, I think.
Yeah, like you said, the Titans performed brilliantly in the first half. Like, obviously, halftime 14 points to 6 in favour of the Eels. But like at the first half, I was thinking this is a quality different side compared to what they were last year. But then when they just fell to pieces in the second half with all that pressure, then the Eels just came out, boom, 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 try. They scored 7 tries. Mitch Moses, his goal kicking was brilliant that game. He got 7 from 7 from conversions, plus both of his penalty goals that he shot for. But Mitch Moses, he's performing brilliantly. Like in my opinion, in round 1, he wasn't up to his form. And then in that game, he was just brilliant. But I wouldn't say it was a brilliant game because Eels just dominated that whole game, in my opinion.
I think Eels got on him, but I don't know. I thought Mitch Moses was good, but I think he needs to get more consistent against better teams. Like, all respect to the Knights, I don't think they were a great opposition in the second half. So I think...
And so round 3, obviously, there's nothing happening. Obviously, like we said at the start, NRL has been cancelled, but we're just going to go ahead and read out the games and what our prediction would have been for it. So first game on Thursday would have been the Raiders taking on the Dragons. In my opinion, the Dragons, I think they would have still been, they wouldn't have like came back that quick from their form, but the way the Raiders are playing, in my opinion, I think Raiders were taking it out 16 points to 2. So that's my prediction. Zach, what's yours?
Yeah, I agree. Probably the same thing. I reckon the Raiders would have just gone through the middle of the Dragons a bit. I think Corey Norman needs to get more involved, to be honest. But I don't think it would have been a very close game. I think the Raiders would have won, and quite comfortably, to be honest.
Yeah. And Friday, there's a doubleheader like there is every other year. Manly taking on the Warriors, which in my opinion is a bloody awful game.
Yeah, that's a pal of a game.
It's in Lotto Land at Manly's home ground. New Zealand's still not home yet from for playing. So in my opinion, I think Manly would have easily taken it out. 16 points to 12. I think it would have been like a narrowed game.
Okay, I would have gone probably Manly 20-4 or something. I think Manly would have won quite convincingly. I don't think the Warriors have looked very good this year. I don't think their halves are firing and their forwards aren't going great either. So.
Hey, Eddie.
Yeah.
You're so fat.
Yeah. Who's the second game?
Second game we see the biggest rivals, in my opinion, of all since 1908. The Rabbitohs taking on the Roosters at ANZ Stadium. In my opinion, it would have, and I actually think Roosters would have bounced back for this game, obviously losing the first 2 games. So I think South would have taken out 13 points to 12 in Golden Point.
Yeah, I reckon I'll just back the Roosters to win that one. I think they're too much of a quality side to keep losing, and I think South's performance last week wasn't overly convincing, and if they fade away for that long against the Roosters, I think the Roosters will put them away. So I would have gone Roosters 14 to 12.
Right, it's going to be, it would have been a very close game. Latrell playing against his old club for the Roosters.
Emotional.
It would have been, obviously, everything coming out for him. It's been a rough time for Latrell, changing clubs and then all this racism stuff about him. It's just, horrible, the way he's getting treated at the moment. He's got a bit of a gut on him, but there's no need for people to come out and be making fun of him for saying, oh, what a fat slob he is, and he's not even that fat, to be honest. He's got a bit of a gut on him, but it's not needed for fans to come out and just put all that on him. It's just not fair for Latrell and his family.
Unnecessary.
Right, Saturday, we see the Knights taking on the Sharks at PointsBet Stadium. I actually think Cronulla would have won this game by 2 against Newcastle. I can't see Newcastle winning 3 from 3 and Cronulla losing nearly 3 games in a row. Obviously losing the South first week, then Melbourne, but it's going to be a close game. Obviously, we can't actually watch it, so we can't really say it's going to be close. So, in my opinion, it would have been close. Sharky's taking it out by 2.
Yep, I agree. Exact same as you. I think the Knights have been good, but I don't think they'll win 3 from 3. I think they need to lose a game. I don't think the Sharks will lose 3 from 3. I believe they get Bronson Sherry back this week, which I think, even though he's only a young player, I think is quite talented. So I think that'll be a good addition. He'll get some meters out of their end.
Yeah.
But I think Blake Brayley is starting to come into his own as well a bit. I think he's been quite good, to be honest, so far. I think he just needs to come into his own a bit more, and yeah.
Well, the thing is, he's injured at the moment. He's done his ACL.
Blake Brayley?
Yeah, for Newcastle.
Yeah.
He's come out and doctors have scanned and everything, and he's done his ACL, so he'll be gone for quite a while. I don't think he'll be gone for the whole year. But I think in my opinion, he'll be back for round 4 when the NRL comes back on, or if it does come back on.
Yeah.
So the second game on the Saturday will be the Melbourne Storm taking on the Penrith Panthers. I actually think, I've never said this before, Penrith and Storm is going to be a brilliant of a game. The way Penrith are playing at the moment and the way Nathan Cleary is taking that team around when Jimmy Maloney's gone over to the Super League, he's just guiding that team really well, playing the halfback position perfectly, and I actually think Panthers would have taken it out by 2.
No, I reckon Melbourne, after dropping that much ball, I reckon they would have got hammered by Bellamy. I reckon they would have came out with quite a strong performance. They would have got up 18-14 over Penrith.
All right, and Saturday, last one on the Saturday, we'll see the Cowboys and the Eels at Queensland Country Bank Stadium in Townsville, Cowboys' new stadium. This will be a brilliant game. Cowboys obviously getting back into form. Eels have been in form for the whole year, but I think Cowboys at their new home grounds will take it out by 6.
Yeah. Back on Jaden Bradley. He's done his ACL, and he should be. They are expecting him to be gone. Not sure, they haven't said, but they should expect him. They seem to think that he'll bounce back soon. He played on with it, so I'm not sure what happened there.
Alright, so what's your opinion on the Cowboys-Eels game?
I reckon maybe Cowboys will get up. First game back at home, they'll be trying to, well, no fans. If they have fans there, I feel like they will win, or they want to really show that they can play better than that after they disappointing loss against the Broncos at their stadium. And I think it'll be quite a good game. I think it'll be high scoring though. maybe 24-18 to Cowboys.
Yeah, and I think what the Cowboys need to do is get Valentine Holmes on that ball a lot more, because as we saw when Holmes was at not the Cowboys, at Cronulla, he had his hands on the ball quite a lot, and he dominated at that fullback position. That's why he was one of the best players for Cronulla. But now that the Cowboys aren't really giving him that ball, he's barely doing anything on that field. So if they give him more ball, then he's gonna, in my opinion, he'll fire for the Cowboys.
Well, I feel like, he's just got back from NFL, so it'll take a bit of time to adjust. But, just give him a few games to get back, get a bit of match fitness going. I feel like it will be a done signing.
Alright, so Sunday doubleheader, we see the West Tigers and the Bulldogs. Well, we don't see. We hear the West Tigers and the Bulldogs. Campbelltown Stadium, West Tigers home ground. So I think Tigers will take this out comfortably at their home ground. 22 points to 6. I think Bulldogs just still wouldn't have that form against a quality side like the Tigers at their home ground. So what are your thoughts on it?
I completely agree. I think Bulldogs don't have enough in attack either. I think Tigers would get up. They'll be trying to bounce back from losing against the Knights. They feel like they would have had quite a good chance to win there, so they're going to try and get up, I reckon. I reckon they'll do quite a bit to beat the Bulldogs.
Yeah, because the Bulldogs obviously losing some of their brilliant players. Like we've seen them lose like their first few games. So I don't know. The Bulldogs just confuse me most of the time. Like last year when they lost, won, lost, and then at the end of the year they fired back and won. Like Dallin Wattelli's the Lesniak, brilliant player for the Bulldogs, but he just needs to get his hands on the ball like a lot more like a fullback should.
Yeah, I think he dropped a bit of ball and stuff. So I think he looked quite nervous under the high ball against both the Cowboys and the Eels. So I think that's one thing he does need to fix up, because they can't afford to keep turning the ball over down their half.
Yeah.
Because I think it's their too many points. Titans Broncos. I think Broncos will win. I don't think that's a real hard one to pick. I feel like the Broncos. I think the Titans will come out. They'll put in a good effort. I think they get AJ Brimson back, so I think that'll be quite an addition. But I can't see the Titans beating the Broncos, especially in the form they're in. I feel like maybe 24-6 to the Broncos.
Yeah, so Titans obviously not out there to form. Broncos, this is a different Broncos side than we've seen last year. They're just on fire at the moment. Brodie Croft is guiding that team perfectly. Asako filling in that fullback spot for Jack Bird, obviously doing his ACL at training. And so it's not a hard one to pick. I think Broncos will take it at 36 points to 6. Titans will try their absolute hardest, but I think Broncos will just be way too strong for them.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so games cancelled, so fans might have gotten an email or a text on the NRL refunding their tickets if they got some, and just information about the whole coronavirus. Like full credit to Todd Greenberg, like we said at the start, for trying to push on the competition, but it just can't happen anymore for the game, because it's just like it's going to shatter the game a lot, not having the NRL in full swing or anything. So this is nothing like we've seen before. I don't even think we've had a year in NRL what it used to be called. I can't remember what it used to be called. It never has had this before, like postponing a whole season. Like this, like we've never seen it before. So hopefully it can come back on sooner. That way the boys can get back out and play.
Yeah, well, I think for some teams it'll be quite a shame, and for others will actually be a bit of a blessing. Some teams haven't started as strongly as they would have liked, like Dragons and the Titans. I think that's actually quite a blessing for them. For other teams that have came out of the blocks hard, Broncos, Raiders, Panthers, Knights, they might be actually quite upset about it because they were looking in some good form. So I don't know.
Yeah. So the main question is that people have been talking about this on social media. Speaking of social media, add us on Instagram at the Zac And Joe Show official to get your first impressions of our podcast that's coming out. But the main question is, did the NRL make the right decision to cancel, to postpone the season, and why?
100%. I think they can go on anymore. I think players would have lost a bit of enjoyment playing, to be honest. Like the Warriors, any people, when they're isolated from their families, they would have started to lose a bit of motivation, I believe, and I feel like it wouldn't have been very good rugby league. So I think they did the good job by cancelling it early, and I think they want to try and get it open as soon as possible again.
Yeah, like what you were saying, I 100% agree. NRL made the 100% right decision to cancel it because if the players get it, then that's going to, like, if just say one player gets it in the club, then that's going to, like Bronson Sherry got tested for corona because he had, looked like he had it. So they, just to be safe, they tested him, but he came back without it. Thank God for that. But, like, just say if a player gets it and he's with the whole team, and then that will pass on to the whole team, which will affect the whole club itself, and they'll probably have to shut down the club and play with 15 teams. So that way we can keep our players and our staff and like everything else like safe. That way, and like you were saying, it's not this rugby league isn't the same without fans at the game. Like just imagine a State of Origin game, like a decider being played without fans. Like it's just not going to be the same.
I don't think they could have had State of Origin without fans. I feel like it would have probably ruined it. I think they need to have fans there to add the culture. It's not the same without fans.
Because like, what would have happened? If there was no fans at Origin and they still played on, like what would happen if it's at Suncorp Stadium, like brilliant game from Queensland, and Mitchell Pearce gets sin bin? Then it's just not going to be the same. Like you're going to be screaming at your house instead. Like you want to hear like the fans because that gets you revved up. All the fans at the stadium, and that gets the players motivated as well.
Yeah, I agree. 100% agree there. Well,
like, and Monday Night with Matty Johns isn't a thing anymore. Now it's the Late Show on Thursdays. I don't actually know if that's on, but I believe this will be the last one for the year until the NRL comes back on. But tune into Kayo or Foxtel to watch that. Matty Johns, the Late Show. Fletcher and Hindy are back at it again. Those two boys are, in my opinion, they're the best comedy pairing, Fletcher and Hindy. Like what we've seen last year from them is just brilliant. They're doing something like Game of Thrones or Lord of the Rings or something. To make sure you watch that, NRL 360 as well. That will be on today.
Some big news actually just came out is that if the entire NRL season is cancelled it's a result of COVID-19, all the players will be taking an 87% pay cut. So that's quite a pay cut for the boys.
Yeah, and we don't want players not doing anything and getting paid like crap ton of money. Like just say someone get on a $1 million deal and they did nothing the whole year because the season stopped and they just give them $1 million, then that will make the club go way downhill. So if they, what they should do is pause their whole their payment. Just what if we don't see a 2020 NRL season and the boys are just getting paid like millions of dollars and stuff. And I'm looking at the round 2 charges. Ponga copped a one match ban. So when the NRL starts back up, then he won't be playing that first game. I can't actually remember what he did. I think it was a shoulder charge. Yeah, shoulder charge against the West Tigers. It was pretty filthy what he did. Shoulder charge, like some people do it on accident. Watching it, Ponga did that on purpose. Just to save a try or something, and it's just not needed. I can't pronounce his name properly. Luciano Leilua.
Luciano
Leilua. Dangerous contact to the head and neck on Callum Ponga. No Matty is free to play next game. Copped a $1,700 fine from his dangerous contact on Callum Ponga. He knew straight away after he hit him. He's like, oh no, I did the wrong thing. I did not mean it. But I don't think he should have served that match at all. They just really made the right decision. Just give him a fine of $1,700.
Yeah, it was accidental.
That's about it.
Yeah, it was accidental. It wasn't a reckless high tackle, so I think there's nothing wrong with that. Also, back on the Bulldogs, actually, Dean Pay and a lot of the Bulldogs staff have been stood down by the Bulldogs club to save a bit of cash.
Wow. That's
Yeah,
massive news for the Bulldogs. That's wow. There's a few more judiciaries. Like, what's with NRL players doing this? Nathan Bannon for Parramatta. Dangerous contact. He's playing on 31st of the 3rd, so 31st of this month. So we don't know if he's going to be guilty or not. That's when he goes to court to find out. On Dale Copley for his dangerous contact on him. I can't pronounce this guy's name. Moekia Fotaluaka.
Moe, I don't know how to say the first name, but yeah, Moaki Fotaluaka.
Yeah, for the Titans.
Yeah,
dangerous contact.
Soliola for the Raiders, high tackle, careless, just copped a $1,700 fine for that. I don't think there's any other major ones. Trent Merrin also got the same thing for high tackle.
But he got an $1,150 fine.
Yeah.
Jamal Hopewadi for the Broncos. He carried over 75 points. He pleaded guilty. No matches to serve on Stephen Crichton. But that's a few judiciaries for round 2. Like, wow. So the only one that's getting suspended is Callum Ponga for his shoulder charge. But Likiano Leilua, he's so lucky he didn't get suspended because that was pretty dangerous contact. But because after he collected him, he came back straight away because he knew that he was not meant to do that. So they saw straight away it was accidental. Because Ponga was falling over anyway. So it was like just that one with, I think it was 2016 with Wade Graham on Jonathan Thurston.
Yeah, just careless high tackle, not reckless, just accidental lazy arm, I think.
Yeah, Wade Graham didn't actually intend to hit Thurston that high. Thurston was falling over and he smacked him in the head, and he still served a charge. So I guess the NRL has looked at that and changed the rule. If the player's falling over, then it's accidental, and then just give them a fine, and that's it.
Yeah, I think that's I think that was well done with the NRL. What's this other news on the NRL?
Canberra obviously came out on their Instagram page. They made this wonderful video. At the start, it's the Raiders losing the grand final, their reaction and stuff like that. And then it gets lighter and lighter and lighter. It's just a brilliant piece from what the Raiders have done. So you can go check that out on the NRL website or go to the Raiders Instagram. The Raiders last year, they were a brilliant side, obviously losing the grand final, which was not okay. Maybe if they go 6 again, then they'll be all good.
Yeah.
That was a pretty harsh decision to go 6 again and then call it off. That was pretty bad.
It happens.
But looking at the ladder, geez, what a Parramatta Eels taking out the minor premiership at the moment. Won both games, 4 points. So on top is Parramatta. In second is Newcastle. In third is the Raiders. In fourth is Melbourne. In fifth is Brisbane. In sixth is Panthers. Seventh is Cowboys. And finishing off the 8th is the Rabbitohs. So
yeah, and wrapping up the
bottom,
mate.
And it's a very, very predicted top 8. We never predicted the Roosters not to be in there. I'm pretty sure everyone predicted the Roosters to be in the top 8 straight up for the whole year, but they've lost both their games. So, Zach, do you want to read out the bottom 8 for us?
The bottom 8, West Tigers on 1 win, Seagulls on 1 win, then all the teams who haven't won yet the Sharks, Roosters, Dragons, Bulldogs, Warriors, and the Titans rounding out the bottom 8. I think, who do you reckon, who would you, at the start of the year, by now, who's surprising you? Who would you have thought would be higher or lower?
Well, surprising me, for higher position would be the Roosters. I'm surprised they're not in the top 8. I thought they would have at least won a game by now, but obviously Cherry Evans kicking that field goal for Manly to win the game for him. So Roosters are surprising me down at the bottom, but I'm surprised that the Panthers, in my opinion, are this high on the ladder already on top of the Cowboys and Rabbitohs. Wrapping up 6th. I'm surprised. I thought Panthers would have slipped into 10th and Roosters would have came up to the 4th or 5th position. But I don't know what's going on with the Roosters. But like we said, they'll bounce back.
Don't worry about that.
Yeah, they'll 100% come good. The Roosters, but they just need to give Kyle Flanagan some time to work with the team properly. So for those out there that are doing NRL fantasy, they said they're not going to put any points on, so that your fantasy team has been paused. I'm so glad about that because I've got a rubbish team anyway, so glad they paused it. So they paused that. Tipping, none of it will count. So don't bother putting your tips in because they're not going to mark it yes, wrong, or right. So it's just going to stay the same until NRL comes back on. But the main talking point I want to talk about is Anthony Seibold finally gets one over Wayne Bennett. But in my opinion, obviously Brisbane were the better side. Katoni Staggs, in my opinion, Katoni Staggs would get Centre of the Year. Dally M Centre of the Year. He's playing brilliant football. Coming from the Redcliffe Dolphins in the Intrust Super Cup. So it's just brilliant. But let's just do an early prediction. Zach, who's your prediction of Dally M Medal of the Year?
Player of the Year. Dally M Player of the Year, I'm not real sure. I think I think out of the main contenders, I reckon Nathan Cleary will be up there. I think he's looked very good. I think if Jack Wyden can keep his performances going the way he has been and the way he was towards the end of 2019 season, I think he also stands a very good chance. I think there'll always be the main contenders, maybe Damien Cook, Cameron Smith, and I think Nathan Cleary or Jack Wyden, I reckon.
Yeah. Like my opinion, my prediction would be David Fifita would take out Forward of the Year, but for Dally M Player of the Year, I actually think it would be David Fifita. I think David Fifita would take out that Dally M of the Year. I don't think we've seen a forward get it in quite some time at the moment. Obviously, last year was Jimmy Tedesco. So it's tough to call it early, but might as well we just call it early because there's no NRL at the moment. But grand final predictions, who do you think would have been in the grand final this year?
Oh, you can't really call that one yet. I think there's been a few teams that have looked very good. I think we're hard to go past. I think the Broncos are definitely possible contenders. I reckon the Broncos are definitely contenders. I reckon the Raiders, Knights. I don't think Eels will. I think they still need a bit more work. Rich Moses needs to get a bit more consistency. I think maybe Raiders or the Knights, maybe Roosters. I think Roosters always a good chance for the Broncos.
Yeah. So my grand final prediction, I've said it since the start of the year. My opinion would be the Broncos and the Rabbitohs grand final, because the way Brisbane are just playing at the moment, they're looking like they're going to win a premiership. So if the Broncos can keep that aggressive play and the way they play their game of football, then they're 100% going to win the grand final. Because the way they just shut down the Rabbitohs in that second half. Yeah, the Rabbitohs, I'm surprised they even came that close to Brisbane after the Broncos South were ahead at halftime by 2. Yeah, I'm surprised Brisbane even let them come so close to them.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Well, yeah, I don't know. I reckon at the start of the year for my bottom 4, I was expecting the Panthers. I put the Panthers in my bottom 4, but I actually reckon they'll go quite a bit better than I thought. I reckon the Warriors, I think the Warriors will end up with a wooden spoon. Warriors, Bulldogs, Titans, and the Dragons will make up the bottom 4 this year. I feel like they just don't have enough in their attack or defense. I don't think they're looking very good.
Yeah, so I think that will wrap it up for today. There's not much to really talk about. This was a great start to 2020. First podcast of the year. Thank you, Zach, for being on with us today. Thank you, everyone, and we'll see you all next time.
Yeah.